you being a personal chef? Like, you working with the athletes is one thing, but how would you scale that business?
I definitely want to tap into entertainment, right? Um, I want to be able to open those doors, have a product line. I feel like, yeah, I would be a part of that brand, but maybe something bigger than me. You know what I mean? Like Chef Ramsay.
Got it.
He's the truth. Like, he's
Yes.
the truth. He's really the truth. But he has so much, like, right? He has so much going on. And it's not like, I'm not saying I can be like Ramsay. Like, there's only one Gordon Ramsay,
There's only one
but there's
Vanessa.
only one Vanessa Gonzalez,
Boom.
right? So, yeah.
Yo, back again with another episode of Attractive Mindset. And today we got a super special treat for y'all. When I say the word boss, I mean actual boss. No gender roles associated to it. Whenever you think of boss, entrepreneur, hard work, skill set, everything, this person comes to mind. And with this person, this individual, one of the first people I met when I came into business in South Florida, and off rip, instantly just whipped my mindset into shape. And I'm gonna let her tell you her story, but Miss Vanessa.
All right. Thank you, Darian. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. This is really dope. I'm super proud of you, right?
Thank you.
But yeah, so my name is Vanessa. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 21. I first got introduced to entrepreneurship when I was 19. I hesitated to, get my feet wet. Fear definitely played a role in that, but it's all good, right? I've been in a few industries. I was in the MLM business. I also did temporary tattoos, microblading, permanent makeup for a good 8 years. I also went to culinary school in my early 20s. That's actually what I'm getting my feet into now, right? I've been a private chef now for some time. I'm a personal chef for professional athletes down here in South Florida. So that's my focus now, is personal chef, my passion, really.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when it comes to hats, you got them. You know what I'm saying? And so with entrepreneurship, like, what has been like your goal with entrepreneurship? What makes you want to do that instead of, just work a standard 9 to 5, which there's nothing wrong with, but
right. Yeah. I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with having a 9 to 5. I think that sometimes you need a 9 to 5 in order to build your dream or your business, especially if you're just starting out. So nothing wrong with it at all. But for me, when I was working a 9 to 5, I kind of felt real restricted. I felt like I wasn't able to do all of the other things that I did want to do. I had to commit my time to my paycheck. And that's kind of where I always struggled with that feeling of like restriction. I'm not a fan of it at all. So for me, it was the freedom, right? The freedom.
Okay. And so you said you got into it when you were 21, basically. And so what led to that shift?
What led to the 9 to 5 shift from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship? Got it. So I was a single mother, right? I was a young mom. I had my son at 19 years old. So that and paying for the daycare alone was crazy. Mm-hmm. It was $170 something a week, right? It just didn't make sense to me to do that, right? And I wanted to spend more time raising my child, nurturing my child, but also being able to, do things to make money for my future, his future, my other 2 children now. So definitely it was that aspect of it.
Okay, and so when you got into it, like, what was the industry that you really started getting into? Like, what was the real icebreaker? Like, okay, this is entrepreneurship, and yeah, you're here, but what led you to start different things ultimately to being a chef now?
Right. Okay. So the first business that I got started in was is an MLM company. Now I haven't been doing it for a while, but it definitely taught me a lot about leadership. It taught me a lot about being able to just talk to people, and kind of just figuring out where everybody is in life and how maybe entrepreneurship can help them. It also taught me a lot about business, how to organize myself as an entrepreneur, how to act as an entrepreneur or be an entrepreneur, really. Because a lot of people do act it, right? They act it out, and it's not genuine. I would say that was one of the things that I first learned in that first company that I was with. So with MLM though, right? It's cool, right? Nothing wrong with it. I think what I learned from that too though is that I still kind of felt a little restricted because I had to follow a system that was given to me, if that makes sense.
Okay. And so shifting from there, what led you to, I know you had something to do with henna.
Oh, yeah. So henna, permanent makeup, tattooing, that whole world. I did that because I was just always a creative, that kind of came naturally to me. And when I started noticing that I was good at it, right? Word of mouth was just happening, right? And that's the number one. Honestly, there's nothing better than somebody referring you, right? Because that means that you're good at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was involved in that industry because I was just naturally good at it. I was naturally drawn to it.
Now let's break that down a little bit because you're being super humble here. You've definitely had celebrities in there. You've definitely your designs. I've looked through the page and everything, and you have a staple. Like that's not a piece of art that you can just pick up a piece of paper and be like, okay, I'm gonna draw this. Like, how do you really? Understand that you're good at that and be able to make a business out of it though.
Right. Okay. So it obviously I was good at it, but it's not like I was great at it at first, right? I was struggling in the beginning. It took a lot of practice. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort, to get really good at what I was doing. And I just put myself out there. I would go on social media. I would sometimes comment under celebrities' posts and say, hey, when you're in town, hit me up for whatever. Sometimes other celebrities would see those comments and they would actually contact me. So that was like a little
engagement in general.
Engagement in general. That was something that really, really helped build that page on social media that I have. And from starting from henna, right, then that's where I branched off into the permanent makeup industry because I was already known for being able to do these drawings or whatever, right?
So when you say permanent makeup, like
that is like, it's basically tattoos of makeup, but it's a tattoo.
That's interesting.
So yeah, sometimes some girls, their eyebrows might not be real, but they look real and it's a tattoo. So something like that, right?
So do you have to go through like a licensing process for that?
So each state is different.
Okay.
But in the state of Florida, you do have to take your bloodborne pathogen course that's required by law. Please do your due diligence and take your bloodborne pathogen course. Because you want to know, there's diseases out there, right? So you want to be careful. And from there, you pretty much have to go to the health department, apply to be a licensed tattoo artist. That's in the state of Florida.
Got it.
I'm not too sure how a lot of other states work, but some are a lot stricter. Some I don't think even require anything. I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on that.
So about how long did it take for you to get to the point where you were like, okay, I'm gonna make some courses, I'm gonna make classes, and start to teach other people how to do this?
I got a lot of requests for it. Because I guess there wasn't too many people out there doing it.
I can't even name one.
Right. So, I mean, I know a few though. And there's a lot of girls that I was able to connect with down here too in South Florida that are really dope. We're really dope at what we do. Right. And, but back to the creating the courses. So I got a lot of requests for it. A lot of people asking me, if I teach. And of course, that intrigued me more and more because I realized, okay, people are willing to pay me for my services. And they're also willing to pay to learn how I do my services. Because they probably want to do it too. They see a future for themselves in the industry. And that was both for henna and permanent makeup. So I was able to do both. A lot of people just asking me, for it and connecting with other girls that want to teach as well. So we both linked up and taught a group of women.
Got it.
We've had male students as well, though, but it's majority women. I mean, and the thing is with the beauty industry that it's never going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's never going anywhere. Women, I feel most women, they always want to look good, right? They want to feel good. And if you feel good, you know what I mean? Like it's a little boost of confidence.
This is true. And so what made you, even sounding like you have, a good amount of success with that, stop that necessarily and start switching towards, just being a personal chef?
Okay. So when I was 23 is when I went to culinary school. However, I've been cooking since I was 8. Like I just love it. That's really what I love. It makes me so happy. I think you came to my baby shower, right? Didn't you?
I might have, yeah.
Okay. Probably shouldn't even, you could edit that out. But I just love cooking, right? Been cooking since I was 8, and I always knew I wanted to do something in the culinary industry, but it took me, almost 10 years. It hasn't been 10 years yet, but it's been almost 10 years to like really just decide like what avenue I wanted to go in. I always knew I didn't want to work in a restaurant, like somebody else's restaurant, right? Because those long hours, it's the same thing. It goes back for me. I know that about myself. Like I know who I am. I don't want to be restricted and have somebody else tell me like every single detail of my schedule, right? So I knew I didn't want to do that. I could have done catering. I could have done all these things. But when I realized that there's this avenue of being a personal chef, which is still really time demanding. Like it's not, like
give us an example of like what your schedule would look like as a personal chef.
Okay. So I'm waking up at 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. to get to my client's house. Normally he'll have breakfast like 6:30. Professional athletes, they work hard. Most of them, right? They work really hard to get to where they're at. So they're waking up early. They're, meeting with their fitness instructor or their yoga instructor or their phlebotomist. They go to lengths, most of them, right? So they eat breakfast early. That means I gotta get there and make breakfast early, have his lunch packed by the time he is leaving to go to practice or whatever, right? 7:30, 8 a.m. He has to be there sometimes, right? So normally I'll make breakfast and lunch, right, in the morning, have it packed. For the rest of the day, I'm pretty much free until I go back to cook dinner. And that's usually same thing. It takes normally like 3 hours, but think about it. There's 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. And I love it. It's not like a I don't feel like I'm like tied down to it. I'm actually like enjoying feeding people and them tasting my food because they love it. So if I know they love it, it's good.
And so how does that work out for like days off? Like what is the weekly and weekend schedule like kind of flow like?
So it depends, some of these athletes, it depends on what sport they're playing, right? There's some that are year round. Like I think baseball players are year round. So once I start with those baseball players, it might be year round that I'm working.
Wow.
Right. For now, I just have NFL players. So the season's over now for the Dolphins, right? So my days are going to be a little more free. They're not going to be as like time consumed, or I'm not going to be so consumed with work. But when it's training camp, I'm there. Like I have to be, because I got to make sure that my clients perform, and I believe that the food that they're eating says a lot about their life, their lifestyle.
And so walk us through like a typical menu.
Oh man. So right now I'm just cooking vegan. I'm just cooking vegan food for my clients. So normally a lot of my clients like American style breakfast. So I do a lot of American stuff, right? Like eggs, we might do omelets, but just vegan, right? Bacon, sausage, pancakes, hash browns, grits, fruits,
but the
acai
vegan version.
bowl, but the vegan version.
Got
exactly. It. So we use vegan ingredients, plant-based ingredients. But you really can't even tell. Like it's just I'm not gonna brag, but it's good. It's good.
Okay. And so how did you get to that point of, working with celebrities? Because that's a big jump, everybody likes to cook. And
man, sometimes I really feel like your mind and believing in yourself just kind of gets you to meet the right people that you need to meet in your life. I ended up I made the decision. I knew I wanted to do something different, right? And I made the decision like, all right, I'm going to take this little vegan class, cooking class, even though I was already eating vegan food. That was already what my diet was. But I wanted to just see if I could maybe learn some new things. It's important to always want to learn new things, right? So I ended up signing up for this class, and the instructor, one of his like the people in the industry, a guest chef that he brought on, I just connected with him and we started talking, and I let him know like, look, I already went to culinary school. Some of the students that were in the class didn't go. Some of them were just there to just learn how to cook for themselves, right? But I feel like whatever you already have in your mind that you want to do, like that's what's gonna be attracted to you, and that's what you're gonna attract. So I already knew in my mind, I had like the game plan in my mind and written down, and that's what happened. I met the guest chef, just talked to him, got his information, and let him know like what I'm looking to do. He's also a personal chef for athletes. So from there, you just gotta be willing to talk to people.
Do you think you developed that even more from MLM?
What? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I wouldn't even say I got all of my confidence, entrepreneurship confidence, solely in MLM. but just the years of, all the you can't do it, the no's, all the, everything, the years of that you start to become like bulletproof. Like, I'm gonna just keep going,
Okay. And so what would be like the most ideal situation for you being a personal chef? Like, you working with the athletes is one thing, but how would you scale that business?
Man, so I definitely want to tap into entertainment, right? I want to be able to open those doors, have a product line. Products are the way to go. People, and especially if it's something that they can buy more than once. So definitely a product line, and building the brand, right? I feel like, yeah, I would be a part of that brand, but maybe something bigger than me. You know what I mean? Like Chef Ramsay.
Got it.
He's the truth. He's the truth. He's really the truth. But he has so much, right? He has so much going on. And it's not like, I'm not saying I can be like Ramsay. Like, there's only one Gordon Ramsay.
There's only one Vanessa.
But there's only one Vanessa Gonzalez.
Boom.
Right? So, yeah.
Okay. And so with that, how important do you feel it is that your kids are watching you be this kind of entrepreneurial model?
It's so important. Your children really respect it when they see like that you take it serious. You know what I mean? My children definitely know. They know, like, oh, mommy's a chef. Like, they hype it up. They hype me up. Your children definitely know. They're very intuitive. Children are very, very smart. They see everything. So if they see you like giving up, quitting, they're just going to follow your lead.
So do you feel like that's an extra boost towards,
staying motivated? Yeah. Absolutely. It definitely is a motivating factor, but I wouldn't say it's my only motivating factor, right? And people that don't have children, same thing. That are entrepreneurs, there's other things that motivate us, right? But making sure I'm setting a good example for them, yeah, because I don't want them out here acting a fool, and struggling or whatever. Okay. So yeah, definitely.
And so, what advice would you give to somebody that is trying to get into either one of those fields, since you did good in both fields? Either personal chef or doing permanent makeup, henna, that kind of field.
Repeat the question.
Like, what kind of advice would you give them?
Okay. Man, I think so. In general, you got to believe in yourself. You got to have confidence, right? That's number one. Now, specific advice: if you want to be a personal chef, make sure you could cook. Right? Like, that's number one. Make sure you can cook. Make sure you're gonna love it, right? Because you might get hurt on the job. I just got cut the other day and had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
But those are like just, I guess, maybe superficial types of advice, but it's the reality, right? For permanent makeup, takes a lot of practice. I guess both take a lot of practice, right? You got to be willing to make sure you devote some time to it to make sure you get better. They'll pay for quality. So if you're providing a quality service, a quality meal, quality ingredients, people will pay.
So what would you define as your you? Like the why you? There's obviously a bunch of personal chefs, a bunch of people in the market that can do the same things, but of course only certain people get certain jobs. And so
right,
what makes you there?
It's only one
chef?
Me.
You're right.
It's only one me. That's the first thing, right? I will always look out for my clients and make sure my clients are good. And that's not something that they would ever have to worry about, as far as being able to provide the services for them. Yeah.
Okay. And so retracing a couple steps, going back towards the kids. And so with the kids, like if they came to you and they were like, Ma, I want to learn how to be a personal chef, or I want to learn how to do, makeup or henna. Do you feel like you want them to take your path because that's what they see, or would you want them to do something of their own?
Well, I would want to ask them first, what they're passionate about. Like, is it just because they see me doing it, or is that something that they really want to do because they want to do it, right? That would be the first thing, right? Because it's not like sometimes we just follow in our parents' footsteps just because, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but I always want to make sure that my child is, even as an adult, that they're happy, right? That they have a life full of joy and that they're doing something that makes them happy in life, that they're satisfied with. So that would be the first thing, right, that I would ask. And if they really wanted to follow in my footsteps, I would give them all the game I could,
Okay. And so when you have that off season, like you said right now, you're only with NFL players. And so on their off season, what does your time schedule look like?
So it really just depends if they want to like continue services. Sometimes they, like they might be on vacation or like this is their time. Some of them don't take time off, right? Some of them still go out and practice. They might rest for like 2 weeks, something crazy. So, right now, nothing for me is really changing, even though it's the off season.
Got it.
The only thing that's really changing is the amount of food that they'd be getting. But as far as like my time, it's still the same. I'm still providing the services for them.
Okay. And so what do you feel would be like, what are 3 essential pieces of advice that you would give towards someone trying to just scale into entrepreneurship with not knowing exactly what they want to do? Because a lot of people do feel like they have to come in entrepreneurship and they got to have one thing concrete, and as you've said, you have a whole list of like, I'm good at this thing, and of course it's going to take time to develop that skill, but just not being concrete in just one area, that exploration.
So I mean, it's always good to not have all your eggs in one basket, because if that one thing, dies down, goes bankrupt, or whatever, you get injured, like it could be so many things, right? So it's good to have a portfolio of things. You don't want to ever just depend on that one item. But if I could give them advice, it was your question, right? Yeah, don't be afraid. Take the leap of faith. I mean, I think that that's what it's always been for me, is to not be afraid, to just take that leap of faith. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
Okay. Do you ever see yourself expanding outside of South Florida?
Man, I love it down here.
It is pretty nice.
I love it down here. But I have definitely already looked into other things. My mom's family is from Central America, so I have looked into Central America. I've purchased land there with the intent to grow food on it, and possibly have a restaurant or a food truck type of business, where I could get my family involved that's over there, where I can get, people that don't really make too much money, right? Because there's a lot of villages that are struggling there, or little towns here too, but a lot of those people are really underprivileged. So that's one of the things I want to accomplish.
So farming, definitely farming.
Yeah, and not here in another country. So I've definitely given that some thought, but I do love South Florida. Like,
you were born here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born here, born and raised in Miami.
From the crib.
Born in Miami, and it's just no place like Miami to me. Miami, Broward, there's no place like it.
Do you feel like being from here shaped you as an entrepreneur differently than if you came from somewhere else?
I would say yes. And I would say, because I've seen so many different types of businesses, I've seen so many different possibilities. I've met so many people, and it is fast paced down here, but it's not as fast paced as like, New York City, yeah, or whatever. But a lot does happen down here. So I think because I was exposed to a lot of things, that I feel like it definitely played a role in that, and just seeing, the lifestyle, right? The beautiful houses on the beach, like, come on, that definitely played a role in it.
Yeah, that gives motivation by itself.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so do you ever see yourself going into like private chefing, or you're gonna stick with more so the athlete route of it?
What do you mean by private chefing?
Like, will you do events? Do you do like catering?
Yeah, I would love to. So, one of the chefs that I really look up to, it's funny the way life works, right? So I saw this woman on the Food Network on Chopped, the show Chopped, that I really was like obsessed with. This is years ago, like maybe 10 years ago, I don't know. And I started following her on social media maybe like 5 years ago. She ended up becoming my henna client.
Oh, wow.
Right? Crazy. And real cool with her now, right? And she actually was one of the curators of the menu for the Met Gala. So something like that, that's big. Yeah, like I would definitely want to go that route.
And so if you had to employ like a team and everything, how would you?
A squad, yeah. People that I would say are just as passionate, right? That are focused and want to win together. I would want people like that on my team, for sure.
Okay. Nah, that definitely sounds interesting. I'm excited. I don't remember how you cook, but I know it's definitely fire. Gonna have to definitely tap in on one of those. And you make mostly vegan dishes?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't cooked meat in a while. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I'll bring you a vegan meal.
Okay. And so with the alternatives, you get like creative with it to where.
Yeah, I could get creative. As a chef, it's important to be able to follow recipes too, though. That is one thing. You got to be able to know how to read a recipe. And I think because I already had that knowledge, right? That's probably why I was able to connect with my mentor so well. Because I was already, familiar. But yeah, it is important to be able to also follow a recipe, read a recipe, create a recipe, be able to duplicate an item. Because what if one day you cook something that's fire, right? And your client is like, what was that? Can I have more of that? You don't know what you just did.
So do you come up with new things and then like write it down so you don't forget?
Yeah, I mean, right now we have phones, right?
True.
And there's apps and stuff like that you can use. So I do use apps. I might write it down. Not really though. I'd rather just put it in my phone and save it. Yeah. So that way I know, like, okay, what was that I added to this item? This recipe, blah, blah, blah. It could be off by, it's not as tedious as baking. Like, baking is a science, but you still got to make sure you have all your ingredients, because what if you're off by a few ingredients? It's not going to taste the same.
And so how does it work with seasoning and like allergies and stuff?
Oh, I mean, you got to ask all those questions before you make a meal for somebody. Because, you don't want to kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
You could literally poison them. So you obviously make sure that the person doesn't have any allergies, or that there's, if there's ingredients that maybe they're just not a fan of, they don't want to put in their body. I do find that more so with, I guess, maybe people that are a little bit more plant-based friendly. Like, they are a little more cautious and aware of what they eat. So yeah, those questions are definitely important before you give somebody something.
Got it. Okay, well, as y'all can see, clearly Vanessa has an attractive mindset. Just watching Food Network and then having that person as a client, that only takes a certain strong-willed individual, because that's literally like it's a version of manifestation that you're just bringing it into fruition. And that's super important as an entrepreneur. But, definitely thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
and sharing,
me, Darian.
of course. And any last words you want to say to the audience? Any social medias?
I mean, you can follow my page. It's Watch Vanessa Win on Instagram. Follow me back. Follow me, I'll follow you back. And yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, just don't quit. Don't quit.
And give them one book that you would recommend.
I feel like the first book that came to mind was Think and Grow Rich, right?
Of course, classic.
But I feel like somebody probably already said that on here.
Probably.
Man.
Give them a
How
not
to
so
Win
mainstream.
Friends, Influence People.
Steve.
Right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad is another one,
Rob.
right? I really like the book The Seat of the Soul.
The Seat of the Soul. I've never heard that one.
The Seat of the Soul. It's not about entrepreneurship, but I feel like it does help you tap into your soul to make sure that you're happy with what you're doing.
And who's that by?
Man, what's his name? I know what he looks like, but I forgot his name.
Got it. So Seat of the Soul.
Seat of the Soul.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's a new one for y'all. That's a new one. So, hey, we'll take it. But yeah, thank you again for just coming on the show. And as we say, we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back. Attractive Mindset. We out of here.
Thanks.